You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juan.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leek.
And together we are
Rope Break.
Family. It's time for Monday Night Raw. We hope the beginning of the week was nice to every single one of you. So, Jean-Paul, the show was not nice to any one of us because it disappointed completely. Monday Night Raw go-home show for Backlash was not a good show by any means.
The WWE go-home shows, it's a good name because it makes you want to go home and literally do anything else if you were there in the live audience, which thankfully none of us were. It was just the poor, NXT and Performance Center guys and girls, but no, this show was not good. I mean, we got, one or two good things on the whole show, and one of them was only legit because they had to bring Christian out.
Yes.
And that was legit. And I will say, I loved the main event, the match. The match itself was legit.
But if you look at everything in the ring,
but then the ending killed it because it was what we saw literally 2 or 3 weeks ago, whenever that was. So are you kidding me?
But
other than that, I mean, there was Rey Mysterio cut a pretty decent promo. I don't know. That's really it.
We have a #1 contender in Andrade for the U.S. Championship.
Yeah, and they announced the women's tag team match. Which I will applaud them for that. It's a good way to get Bayley on the pay-per-view as the SmackDown Women's Champion, but she doesn't have a match, so that's a good way to kind of whatever. But yeah, I mean, this go-home show was pretty uneventful, I would say.
Yeah, pretty uneventful. That's the right word to say it. So Jean-Paul, let's start by reviewing it. Like you said, Asuka is expecting an opponent, Charlotte, but instead Sasha Banks and Bayley come out to the ring. Asuka tells them that it's her ring, and then she wants to fight. So Sasha tells her to back up, but the Charlotte Flair comes out. So she's pretty much telling Bayley and Banks that they make the most of the spotlight before they lose those belts again. So you see that there's a tease. You saw how Bayley and Sasha were recreating the spot that they were crying at WrestleMania and all of that. So Flair tells them to move on because everyone wants to see her and Asuka fight. So the Iconics come out. So they said the real match people then want to see is the tag team championship match at Backlash because there's a confirmation that they're going to be the Iconics, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and Bayley and Sasha, all of them for the tag team belts. So then Charlotte says that no matter how many titles Banks and Bayley have, they're always going to be garbage. And then the champs hit Flair, and the Iconics attack Asuka, and so it becomes actually a big tag team match.
Yeah, that was a three. No, it was a 3-woman tag team match, and like I said, the Iconics, they're the Iconics. To say that they're awful workers and all this would be redundant. They are who they are. So you have 4 legit women in this match. Like you said, it wasn't a bad match, but it's again Charlotte Flair lost the title. And we knew this. Nobody's surprised. Immediately shoved right back into another title picture, this feud and stuff with Asuka. But we got a 6-woman tag, 3 teams, like I said, and it was the dumb rules. I hate these rules where it's one team just stands out on the outside, okay. Just have 3 people in the ring, and it's going to be the same garbage rules at Backlash. So I'm not looking forward to that match because I don't know what they could do. I could really see them doing the hot switch, giving the titles back to the Iconics, and then maybe that will cause some Bayley and Sasha tension.
I can really see myself actually there do that because it will just be hey, we need a big reason for you guys to start fighting, and they will be, hey, that you're gonna lose the titles.
And then they could also, which I mean, we'll go over this, if we do predictions and stuff, I'll go over it more in depth. But then I think you could give the titles right back to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross then from the Iconics. I see it going to, and
I'll be excited about that.
I mean, this match, I mean, it was good, and it kind of, I mean, it was all just setting up for the main event. It was just showing that there was tension between Asuka and Charlotte, really.
Yes, despite that, they actually got the win. But for Charlotte tags back in and chops K in the corner. Charlotte then heads up to the top, but Asuka tags in and applies the Asuka lock, forcing Billie Kay to tap out. So pretty much, like you said, it was just they go back to the main event. So I really didn't understand why they need 2 segments with Asuka and Charlotte.
Yeah, and I will forgive because normally it's because remember how they did, it wasn't the wild card rule, I forget what they called it this time.
Yeah, it's the invitational.
Yeah, but then with Bayley and Sasha coming over, they say, because they're what are you doing here? And it's well, we're the tag team champs. We belong everywhere. So that, I was okay, I like how they touched on that.
Yes. Yes, and then of course Charlotte like attacked Asuka. She was already holding the Raw Women's Championship, so of course, like you said, like of course she drops one feud and now she's going to another title
Hmm.
feud. There's a lot of rumors that they say that like she might be fighting for a men's championship. She's starting to lobby for like to be the next Tessa Blanchard.
Something to kind of segue into Raw talk when they talked to R-Truth and they said about all these people coming for his championship. One of the names, which this was probably just done for a throwaway joke, but they said Shayna Baszler. And he's like, Shane McMahon, because you know how he always, everything's like funny. He's like, and it's like, no, Shayna Baszler's a woman. He's like, you trying to tell me Shane McMahon's a woman? And then, so anyway, but it was, so if we see Shayna Baszler going after that title, which, God, I hope that doesn't happen. You know, who's not to say, like, that's to me is the only title Charlotte Flair should be going after for, like,
Oh well,
a man.
like,
And
you
that's
said,
nothing
like
against her skill, but she's won enough titles. You know
oh
what I
yeah.
mean? She don't need to be going
We
after
already
men's
mentioned how
titles,
many
too.
times she's been in a title picture feud.
Yeah.
66 times
Yeah,
in
so
a
it's like,
matter
no.
of 6
No.
years. So, moving along, John Paul, we have Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is live, again from his house, like you said, like, oh,
In your
we have
house,
Rey
like this
Mysterio.
weekend. Yep,
We
check it
have
out
Rey
on the channel
Mysterio.
if you haven't. In their
Yeah,
house, NXT review.
yes, that's right. That's right. So Rey link from his house, and he says that like his eye is healing, but there's no time frame for him to compete. So, but he says he has a warning for Seth Rollins. He's going to have to wait to hit the 619 at the end of the match. He's going to hit it right away. He's going to kick Seth Rollins' ass. So you see he didn't retire, obviously. So Seth says that like Rey doesn't understand. He could have walked away as a legend. So he's invited him to Raw next week along with Dominic. Like you said, they're bringing the tension right there. So then he can walk away and realize his injury was for the greater good. Rey says that like Seth is the only reason he's inviting him because he cannot compete. Seth then begins to disagree, but Aleister Black out of nowhere appears and they dives on Seth Rollins. So they have, of course, another tag team match, and it was like Austin Theory with Buddy Murphy against Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo. Like they kind of keep this feud. I mean, it's interesting, but I don't know why the other two are needed. Like Murphy and Austin Theory. I wasn't like that thrilled about the match, but you walk me through it.
No, I mean, like, again, all the people involved in the match are good. And that's the thing about these shows. All the talent is usually good. It's just the storylines that they're given that make you scratch your head and go, what the hell am I
Yes.
even watching? And
Yes.
that's kind of the case going on here. I feel like they don't know what to do. Rollins and his crew, I like. Buddy Murphy has been there from the beginning. That's his boy. Loses AOP, brings in Austin Theory. So it's like, okay, that I'm all fine with. But they're feuding with Rey Mysterio. But then, and I'm fine with that too. But then when you bring in like Humberto, Aleister Black, it's like, okay, like, oh, you're defending his honor and all this other stuff. Or like for Humberto, he's your idol and whatnot. But okay, that's been dragging on for how many months now? There needs to
Yes. It's
something needs
not
to
a big
come
of a
from it.
reason. It's not
Yeah,
a big of a
it's like
reason.
eventually you're just like, dude, I don't care anymore. Like Ray, you're legit, but solve your own shit. Like how many times is Aleister Black going to keep getting his ass kicked for somebody else for nothing? It's not like this. Seth
And that's what
Rollins
I
is the
mean.
champ. It's not like he's going after gold in the end. It's like, oh, okay.
Yep, and that's exactly what I mean. So like that's why like this match, I don't know, was pretty. I don't know if it was needed, but anyway. So pretty much Theory distracts him, Aleister Black, but he gets knocked out on the floor. Carrillo gets his rocket suicide dive into the barricade, and then Aleister Black drops Murphy with a switch knee for the win. Doesn't even do the Black Mass anymore. So like the one thing is like the Rey Mysterio music hits. So everybody's like, "Oh my god!" And then we see like Seth Rollins comes out. I don't know how he went back. Then he
Yeah,
went back to
it must have
and
been when
then
nobody was looking.
yes, and then he gets Seth Rollins comes out wearing the mask, and the distraction allows Murphy and Theory to attack Black and Carrillo, and then there's the Monday Night Raw Messiah, and then he just like they attack, and in the end they stand tall. They stand tall, and then he beats a few stomps on them. So like I guess the feud keeps going.
Yeah,
To me that
it
this should have
honestly
been a match of
reminds me.
Backlash, but
Yeah, and honestly, now it's not as Jerry Springer-esque, but it reminds me of like WCW days at the end where they're like, we don't know how the hell to book this. Like, we have somebody win, but then they get their ass beat after they win. So it's like, did they really even win? Like, what is it? You know what I mean? It's all a mess.
oh yeah,
There's no like legit storytelling anymore. It's
it's
all just
not.
like,
There's definitely not.
but like I said, the stuff with Ray is good, and it's intriguing with his kid. Is his kid going to turn heel? Is Dominic going to stay aligned with his dad? Rey Mysterio seems really angry, fired up. I know he I think he was swearing in Spanish a little bit. Clearly, you would know what he
A
said.
little bit, yes.
But yeah, but I mean nothing too vulgar. But he's definitely more fired up and amped up. So that
yeah,
is all interesting. But like I said, that when it comes to Aleister Black and Humberto, it's like, what the hell are these guys even doing?
oh yeah, like it's that's the thing is like I don't think that like involving them and keep doing the involvement is helping out the cause of the rivalry. So
No, I would
that's
have
pretty
rather
much
seen something where like Seth Rollins and these guys show up at Rey Mysterio's house.
all.
Like they
Yeah,
show up at his
well,
house with like a get well basket, and they're like, Ray, no, it's legit. And then they kick his ass, or they kick Dominic's ass, or they literally just throw Dominic in a van like they're
that
doing
would
on
be pretty.
NXT and
That
drive
would be
away.
pretty interesting, and that would be different. But who are we to like keep suggesting
I'm
ideas?
only the best booker on YouTube, so
That's true. So like Charlie Caruso is interviewing Randy Orton backstage. She's saying like, "How do you feel about the greatest match ever?" And he said, "Well, I'm looking forward to what Edge and Christian have to say." And this segment, like you said, was for me like the best and most important thing of the show. Christian had the peep show. It's always good to see him back. Pretty underrated wrestler. His career was like, to me, it could have been so much better, but like never really accomplished the heights that they could have been, because for me he was as good as Edge, but for some reason something in the eyes of Vince McMahon and everybody in
well,
creative
that's all right
held him
because
back.
TNA knew he was legit.
Christian Case.
Yeah.
So pretty much like to go like pretty summarize the whole thing, Christian wanted to fire it up Edge. He started, but he was like tough love, kind of like telling me your shit, and then he's like, why are you doing this? Like you should have been you lost your edge. You lost your edge. You lost this. You lost that. Like he's pretty much firing his friend.
He was like, I think you're riding on fumes. Like you said, he's like, you're bullshit. You can't do this and that. And then you saw Edge was kind of like, so he was just like accepting it. But then it's like, there's only so much you could take. And then he started firing back on Christian. Yes. And I know we thought, oh shit, like, is this Christian turning heel? Is Edge going to kick Christian's ass? Like, what's going on here? And to me, if they would have did that, that would have been a bullshit garbage segment. Like these guys, they need to be like this from now on. Oh, and you just saw Christian. He started smiling. He's like, there it is. There's the Edge I want. That's
well,
the
like he's pretty much also he mentioned his mother.
Yep.
He mentions Edge's mother, and that's the thing that like kicked in, and it's like, okay, that's what I was looking for. Dad Luke said, there's the eyes. Okay, we're good. Yeah, you're gonna win. So pretty much Christian did all of this just to get Edge ready for the match that he's gonna have with Randy Orton. And Randy Orton, of course, he came from like the Titantron or the big screen. He's like, can you please shut up? I cannot even put up with this anymore. But like Jean Paul kind of noticed that like he was reading from like a card.
Yeah, he wasn't even looking at the like. I don't know how WWE, you don't have a dude if that's the case, and Randy has to read a scripted promo. You don't have the dude there with a big cue card on the other side of the camera so he can at least look at the camera.
Oh yeah,
because you saw his eyes moving and he was like looking like this. Like he wasn't even looking at the camera, and I'm like, dude, like, are you kidding me? Like, is this FCW? Like, is this training? Where is this?
Oh yeah, it was pretty simple and like pretty kind of didn't make a lot of sense. He was kind of like first grade, like how to like cut a promo or
like it just stuck out. Like it was because like Randy Orton, normally everything he does is like super legit, and then you see this, and it's like that's what I mean. It stuck out like a sore thumb.
Exactly. When you're used to see legitness in somebody, and you see like this is like not up to expectation, there actually that sticks up even more. So like that, it was a good promo. They set up the rivalry the way that it was supposed to be set. Edge is ready. Randy Orton is ready. So what we're gonna get supposedly is the greatest match of all time. And even Kurt Angle said later on in the show, he's like, "Oh, that's a really big title to live the expectations for." And
I love how when they have all these legends on, they all have to like they cut a promo on themselves too. They're like, "Oh yeah, I know something about good wrestling matches. Me and Brock Lesnar," because he says he's like I love the way he says it. He's like Lesnar.
Oh,
instead of like Lesnar, he's like Lesnar. Yeah. But I mean, they did have legit matches, but it's like same thing with Shawn. Oh, I had a legit match. It's like, dude, you're talk about the actual match. That's
it's like talk about the match, not start like talking about yourself. But we get Jean Paul, like of course, like the thing that like I don't understand why it kept happening is the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders one more time, and they had like the triathlon. They had like a lot of competitions. They had like it was Jean Paul like a throw like the arrows or.
Oh well, yeah, they had like a bow and arrow contest, the hurdling contest.
And they had
also ones. It was like a tug of war. Like, it was like a tug of war over like a trough of milk or something. I'm like, what am I even watching? Again, I say it all the time. If you make the show 2 hours, we don't need to sit through bullshit like this.
Yes,
because this is the stuff that won't make the cut. This will get and thrown away.
Yeah, it's pretty much doesn't make any sense. And like I said, that actually takes away from me because I want to see the feud. I'm interested in seeing the tag team champions going against the number one contenders.
Imagine if when you watch these guys on NXT go, they had their epic battles, and you're like, oh man, this is legit. And then you fast forward the tape to now, and you're like, if this is your only exposure to them, you're like, these guys are a bunch of clowns. They're idiots. Like
and this is the legit thing. Yeah, like, I cannot wait for like one's unlegit.
Yeah.
Or not legit, but like you're right. So that's pretty much what they did. And then we go now to Apollo Crews cutting the second.
And I believe it ended. It was tied, correct?
I
believe it ended because they did 6 things.
5.
They did 10. It was supposed to only be 6. So they did. Oh, they gave us more. How lucky were we?
That's true. So like then we get Apollo Crews, United States champion. He's in the ring. He's like saying, "Oh, I cannot wait to find out who's going to be the number one contender for this my championship at Backlash." And then we have like Angel Garza, we had Andrade, and we have Kevin Owens. So this triple threat match was pretty stuck. And it was the one thing I didn't like is like Andrade and Garza comes out to Andrade's music. I'm like, like they're gonna be fighting, so can like at least get some kind of separation.
Yeah, and also, I know Apollo Crews was feuding with these guys and Kevin Owens. You got to do something with him, and he kind of was involved with them and involved with Apollo and stuff. But this is a thing where we said earlier, guys like Humberto, guys like Aleister Black, one of them should have been in this match.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you watch the previous weeks and you actually can remember these garbage storylines, you go, oh, who was Apollo feuding with? Well, he won it from Andrade. They literally just took these guys from the same storyline and put them in the same match. And it's like, oh, I wonder who's going to win. It's not going to be Kevin Owens, the babyface. And, we're just going to do the rematch again with Andrade.
Oh yeah,
so it's like really predictable. It's like, why couldn't you mix it up? Because if you put in Aleister Black, maybe this is his time when he's going to get a singles championship. Mix it up, do something.
It's pretty true what you're saying. So that's what it was. And I mean, the match itself was like pretty decent. Of course, Kevin Owens came out before even like they could get in the ring and they start attacking them. So like the match itself delivered pretty good spots. Super kicks, cannonballs, swanton bombs, Andrade hitting the knees, all of that. The spot that it was important is that actually because of like they were kind of like working as a team, Andrade and Garza, but then they have hitting Selena Vega. Like at some point, like they have Selena Vega, so she's taken out to the back, and then like actually you saw this connection between Andrade and Garza. Like as you said to you, why they have to yell in English? I don't understand that part. I thought that they were going to be yelling in Spanish, but
do you want to know why they can't yell in Spanish? Hey, boss, can we talk in Spanish? People would think it's more legit. No chance.
Yep, pretty much.
That's
what it was. So, so then like the pretty much important spot in the match is like Kevin Owens hit the stunner, but then Andrade on Garza, but then Andrade kind of like broke it off, and then he was the one that like pinned Angel Garza. So Andrade becomes the number one contender for the United States Championship. It makes sense. This decision makes sense because Andrade was the former champion, and also like you're gonna keep that rivalry. Because if you put Kevin Owens, face against face.
To me that would have been bullshit. I would have honestly rather had it been Angel Garza, and maybe Angel Garza is gonna win it, and Andrade's like, no, this is bullshit. This is my title, and he screws over Garza. Apollo Crews wins. He still is the United States champion. He gets out of this feud, moves on to something else. And then you can do the feud I want to see, which is Garza versus Andrade, because I feel it would be fresh. Because they already have dissension. We saw later in the night they were yelling at each other backstage in English. Bullshit. And it's like, split them off and have them feud, and then they go their own ways.
Yes, it's true.
Because to me, Angel. Yeah. I don't know how you feel, but I think Angel Garza would get over as a face.
Oh yeah, Angel Garza can get over like however like
to me he's already face.
Charisma.
He's already like the way he treats the ladies and the way like he's so likable and legit. He's already face.
Oh yeah. I think he kind of said something that like he's like, oh, I didn't learn anything from Eddie Guerrero or something. I mean he's kind of like he's saying that as a statement, but like you people are gonna keep thinking of Eddie when they think of Garza just because of like how likable Guerrero was.
Yeah.
Despite he was heel face, the same thing happens to Angel Garza. And that's something that Andrade is not able to pull off yet. Hopefully he can do at some point, but that's the thing. So Jean-Paul, MVP lounge. MVP, of course, like this thing is like one of the most boring things in the show. And the one thing that it was kind of funny is that like he was going to introduce Bobby Lashley. He was gonna be like, hey, this is my friend, or I'm representing him. And then Drew McIntyre comes out. He's like, oh, I thought we were I didn't know we were friends now. He's like, oh, I'm gonna talk about the most devastating move in WWE right now. He's gonna talk about like the full Nelson. The Claymore kick, I know. So like they kept playing it like that the whole night. It's like, oh yeah, and I'm the world heavyweight champ. I'm the WWE champion. So like they kept playing that until like, oh, in MVP, like you're a master of getting the Claymore kick. And he's like, oh, I'm going to count till 3, and then you better move fast because I'm going to kick you with a Claymore kick one more time. And then Bobby Lashley actually got before in the ring, before McIntyre starts going to MVP, and he's like, okay, woo. So that was kind of fun. And McIntyre was able to like leave the ring, and then like Bobby Lashley kind of like, so I was going to attack you, but you move. And then they had this match with like the Viking Raiders, because MVP and Bobby Lashley against the Viking Raiders, and the Street Profits were outside, and McIntyre stayed outside too. So,
and
why is there so many people outside? Why is everybody involved?
Because honestly, I think they're doing this, and I'm going to tell you why. As I'm watching this, I was like, Lashley's not beating McIntyre. Because like you said earlier, to go back to the MVP Lounge segment, McIntyre is so legit. He's pretty much unscripted. He's told, hey, just go out there, be who you are, get over with your charisma. They know he's not going to say anything off the wall and crazy, and he's getting over. I feel like if there was crowds, he'd be even more over in our eyes because just the shows are all just kind of, they just feel like, whatever. With crowds, it really adds to it, and I think Drew would be promoted as well. But they have all these teams out here because, like I said, Lashley's not winning. So I think, what do we do with MVP and Lashley? We kind of put these guys together as a group. I could totally see them beating the Street Profits. They beat the Viking Raiders. I could see them beating the Street Profits to be the new tag champs.
Yeah.
Because exactly. It's like, what do we do with them? Oh, well, we built Lashley up like this. We got to give him some sort of gold so he doesn't look like a loser. And I mean, that would be cool for MVP. Like they said, he was a tag team, won a lot of tag team championships. So
yeah,
let him add to another one.
Okay, yeah, but the match itself was pretty decent. MVP is like a pretty decent wrestler. Lashley, the same thing, and of course the Viking Raiders are pretty good. So of course what we're gonna get is good stuff. In the end, though, pretty much like what happened is that of course this connection between the teams, and then McIntyre kind of like play a factor. The Street Profits kind of play a factor. The one thing again I didn't like is like everybody's just like outside, just waiting for something to happen, and also like they had Lana backstage seeing the fight, and she's like, well, it's like, well, how do you feel about this? Well, I gotta focus on my man right now. I gotta put all my focus on the fact that like he might become champion. He's gonna become champion on Sunday, so I gotta put my personal stuff aside. You kind of see Lana in a different light, but like you said, Lana to me is unimportant in this storyline, unimportant without Rusev. Especially when they give her these managing jobs. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked her in the storyline if it would have been something where one, she wouldn't be as cringy, and two, she somehow was going to be a factor that she cost Lashley the match against Drew. Because the way they're presenting Lashley, his intensity, how legit he is, like when he hit the spear on Ivar in this match, like, holy shit, I mean, he like threw the guy. Like, look at Lashley, man, monster. You can't take that away from him. And now he's finally portraying that with his intensity.
Yes.
But, he's not going to win. Like we said, Drew's the hottest thing right now. Drew's the new guy. They're not going to take the belt off him. But like Lana, now I feel like she's lost. It's like, oh, you kind of had something there. You could have used her. Now it's like, what do you do with her? And you put this segment in the middle of the match. You shrink down the screen of the match, and it's like, I know the matches are usually pretty awful on this show, but like, can I actually see it?
Yeah, no, like the way that like I said, this show was like not good at all, and I agree with you. There's a lot of reports that like they're presenting Lashley in this way, Jean Paul, because down the line, they don't say maybe we see some upset in this pay-per-view in Backlash, but they say down the line they do believe that Lashley is going to become WWE champion.
Move him to SmackDown immediately and have him rip Braun Strowman apart. If that could happen at Backlash on Sunday, they could literally pull the ultimate screw job swerve, and I wouldn't care.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. At this point, because it's like Braun Strowman's awful. We don't need to talk about SmackDown here on Monday Night Raw, but you know what I mean. If that's the case, I'd rather see him beat him than beat Drew.
Absolutely, and then that's what does the stuff that like they were saying. So pretty much, Jean Paul, Ivar tags back in, and Eric hit the double knees on MVP. Eric tags in and slams Ivar into MVP, but Lashley breaks it up for the pin. Lashley sent out to the ring and lands into like in front of McIntyre. Lashley stares at Drew and then runs past him and spears Ivar, like you said, like pretty devastating spear, who climbs out after him. Lashley then blind stacks in as Eric knees MVP in the face, and then Lashley applies the full Nelson on Eric for the win. You know, like you said, the most devastating move is the Master's Lock. Who would have thought? And then, of course, Ivar hits MVP after the match, with results in Lashley locking into the full Nelson on Ivar. Street Profits and McIntyre, they're trying to, like, separating them. And then McIntyre hits a Claymore kick on Lashley. So, like, Lashley pretty much gets sent all the way to, like, almost, like, pretty much, like, gorilla position. And that's how the segment ends. And the commentary team is pretty much giving us all the card for Backlash. On paper, is not as bad as you might think it was going to be. But, like you said, it was already taped. We got to mention that already. So the excitement is not going to be there. You know, like there's a few that like we can do this, we can touch on this. Tommaso Ciampa and Randy Orton are going on a Twitter war, you know, just because of like, I guess Randy Orton didn't think that TakeOver was such legit. And Ciampa said, well, oh, you know, I found a cure for insomnia. And they go, oh.
Yeah, he's like, my daughter had some trouble sleeping. Sure, I showed her some of your matches.
Yeah. And so like you can see, like I don't know if that's like completely, you know, all like story or like
I would say it's probably a work, because I feel like if a shoot gets too crazy, they kind of are like, guys, like, you know,
there's people that monitor all their things like from the top to bottom, so it will be like
But speaking of speaking freely on Twitter, just real quick, I know Triple H said with everything going on in the world, the protests and everything, Triple H said if you feel passionate and you want to speak out, we are not going to tell you no. They're not going to monitor. They're not going to like, oh, you can't say that, or no, be neutral. They're like, if you feel passionate about something, say it.
There's going to be like nobody's going to shut you down.
That's because like how
that's
Titus,
awesome that you bring it up, because like in this, you know, we need at least that. We need the opportunity to speak up our minds, always with respect though, always and not being offensive to anybody. By Jean Paul, main event time, you know, like you said, extremely great match. These two, and pretty plausible. Kudos to Charlotte. You know, she got a great match, on Sunday, and now she got a great match on Monday. But why? Because it was already taped. It was not live. So don't be thinking, don't be believing that, oh, she did two great matches in two consecutive days. No.
Yeah, no, I like this, and I like the story, and we'll get kind of into like everything that happened, you know, chronologically through the match a little bit later on. But I just want to say that if they really book this feud and this story, to me, I don't know what the plans are for this upcoming WrestleMania. I know that, you know, in WWE, they have no clue. I probably have more of a clue than they do. But I would book the same match from 2 years ago, Charlotte and Asuka. And maybe somehow Charlotte's the champion, because I know that wouldn't be hard to believe, her being the champion going into WrestleMania. But then you got to have Asuka get the win. Because, spoiler alert, Asuka lost here again tonight. And they say, oh, she can't figure out how to beat the queen. She can't, she never can beat Charlotte. Charlotte always has her number. Don't keep hammering that fact home that Asuka is a loser to Charlotte unless you're going to have eventually Asuka beat her.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you just make Asuka look like a loser. Not that they care how Asuka looks. You know, she's not Charlotte Flair or Alexa Bliss, so they don't give a shit how she looks. But, you know, with that being said, it was a good match, you know, up until, like we said in the beginning, so the last, 2 minutes of it kind of killed it.
I really like the segment before that, like Charlotte was cutting a promo, and then Asuka's kind of walking by, like dancing, and he's like, "Can you ever get serious?" And then he goes, "Yeah, I do." And then
and she slaps her. Yep, that was legit.
That was pretty legit. That was pretty cool. And like you said, the match completely good. Long, like you said, like they gave it 25 minutes or so. Because
it was long, definitely.
2 commercial breaks around that, but like
if you're talking entrances and everything, it was over a half hour.
Yeah, and also we had a altercation because the Iconics came out.
Yeah, Bayley and Sasha were on commentary, and that made the beginning of the match. That made the beginning of the match legit, because their commentary I thought was better than the actual commentary team.
Oh yeah,
just because it was funny, and I liked them on like the things they were saying. It was like, when I think Asuka put the octopus lock on Charlotte, and they're like, oh, Bayley, Sasha, you guys were in the ring with Asuka. How did that feel? They were like, she never used that move when we faced her. They're like, what? Did you actually watch our matches? And then Tom Phillips was like, so.
Oh yeah, and
it was like legit
Bayley
stuff.
Kept going up to like Tom. He's like, oh, like you're as bad as Michael Cole is.
Yeah.
Or like, shut up, Baron. Like no. So it was good. Yeah, I appreciate like see Bayley and Sasha. are like just pretty good heels right now, and that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, if they pull the titles back on the Iconics or Sasha or Alexa and Nikki, I feel that like we're gonna lose these two girls that like can be really good heels.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to say. I mean, if I'm booking this, if I'm the booker man and I'm in charge of the show, they win. You don't do the title change for the tag team titles until you're about to start the feud of them two for the SmackDown Women's Champion, because it should be like a very short fuse, and lighting the fire is them losing the tag titles. Yes. It should be like, we're legit, and as soon as they don't have those belts.
And that's why we start clashing. That's what it should have been. But Jean-Paul, like pretty much, extremely great match. Like I said, we got distraction from the Iconics, Sasha Banks, Bayley. I think all of them, they're taken out. So pretty much
the four of them, yep. I think that was right at a commercial, and then when we came back from commercial, they were gone.
And of course, like towards the last moments of the match, the last sequences, like Charlotte was trying to put Asuka away, like she couldn't. Asuka kept kicking out of everything that like Charlotte had to offer. But of course, I did think, and I didn't text you, but I'm like, okay, wait for Nia Jax to come out.
And I thought the same thing too. Pure. I thought the same thing too, but I'm like, no, they already played that trump card 2 weeks ago, and I'm okay now. I give way too much credit to WWE, but I thought they're not going to do the same bullshit. They will not do the same thing, because it would have made more sense tonight, but they already did it 2 weeks ago. Maybe they'll have it be a double count out. Maybe they'll do so. I knew it was going to be screwy. I knew nobody was going to win 100% squeaky clean. But then Nia came out, and I'm like, well, okay. I'm like, well, now at least I know, but it's like, really? You know what I mean? It's like this. It's like you get the surprise 2 weeks in a row. Well, it's not a surprise the second week.
And that pretty much allows Charlotte to get the advantage, and then she pinned Asuka 1, 2, 3.
Yep, she hit a big boot. I mean, it was a legit big boot, but I'm like, really? A big boot? You know, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I guess I'd rather see a big boot than a figure eight and a tap.
Many people suggest that should be her finisher, because she hits that pretty well. So that should have been her finisher. But like you said, like then Nia Jax took advantage of that also.
Mm-hmm.
Someone dropped, and then there was a kind of like a stare down between I like that monster and Charlotte, and that was it. Show was up the air.
Yeah, I mean, the stare down between them. That when I saw that, I was thinking, I mean, the money feud, if you're going to give the title to Charlotte, is with Asuka.
Yes.
If you don't want that match to kind of really take place until hopefully, like I said, WrestleMania, where they book it legit, then you have Nia get the bullshit win. Maybe Charlotte interferes, and then Nia is the transitional champion.
Probably. That's what they should do.
I mean, they could do if that's what they want to do, but then you got to book it correct. And Charlotte holds it until Mania, which is a long time. I know, the Reign of Terror, but she holds it until Mania, and then Asuka beats her.
That would be even better.
And then I would have Asuka hold it.
Because Becky, of course, is going to be a mom and all of that.
Yeah, so. I mean, and that forgets about, and which is the main problem of Monday Night Raw, is you forget about women like Shayna Baszler, women like Bianca Belair. These legit women that are on the show.
Morgan,
and it's like
Ruby Riott,
Yeah.
Now, there you go. So this pretty much, family, wraps it up. Thank you so very much for watching. Don't forget to check all the social media. Where Jean-Paul?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, on The Original Rope Break, Twitter, The OG Rope Break, and for the best video content on all things wrestling and YouTube, you can find us right here on the.
And it's going to be, Backlash is just going to be it's going to be a hit or miss. But Jean-Paul and I will be covering with previews and predictions. We'll be coming back also like the review with every single move, every single thing that happens. So, family, thank you so very much again. Have a great rest of your day. Jean-Paul and I will be back for AEW Dynamite. So, Jean-Paul, you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...